Hello guys and welcome back to Full House Sports here with myself Charlie. Right, Canelo Crawford happened at the weekend. Was it Gatti Ward or Hagler Hearns? No. Was it still a fantastic fight from a technical and skill standpoint? Absolutely. Terence Crawford gave Canelo a boxing lesson and it was a moment that really cements his legacy for me as an all-time great. Now, there was something Max Kellerman said on commentary, I think before the fight started, that really resonated with me. That was this fight, arguably more than many other fights in history, would be defining for both men's legacies. Now, like I just said at the start of the video, for Terence Crawford, I think this cements him in that all-time great conversation. But for Canelo, especially after this loss, I'm now struggling to have him down as an all-time great. Now, I'm not a Canelo hater. I think what he's done for boxing in some dry years in the US, in terms of faces of boxing, in terms of pay-per-view stars, he has been at the forefront of that. He's done the big Mexican weekends. He's inherited them off Floyd Mayweather. That's been huge for the sport in terms of its continuity. He's had his commercial deals with Under Armour that have kept him in the spotlight. That's been brilliant for boxing. He's, like I say, been the pay-per-view star that we've not had since Floyd Mayweather in America. He's took on that mantle. So in that aspect, yes, he's been fantastic for boxing. In terms of his actual career accolades, I'm struggling with the phrase all-time great. And that's me being brutally honest. Now, like I say, I'm not a hater of him. He's been in exciting fights. He's never been afraid to take anyone on, which I think is massive credit to him. Unlike maybe others before him, and others certainly in this era, where there's the four-belt era, he's been determined to take on those in front of him. That's something that you can't knock him for. But for me, there is a lot of things on his record, a lot of fights on his record that you could have an asterisk next to. Now, I'm not going to go into the doping argument because, yes, he was found guilty of clenbuterol. He said it was tainted horse meat. That's not even a video subject to do. That's a documentary subject, really. We don't know the ins and outs of that case. Yes, there's been a lot of failed tests since at the Reynoso gym. I don't want to get into conspiracies because that's not what I want to use to support what I'm saying. But there is that hanging over him, let's be fair. But for me, more than any other all-time great, and one of the reasons why I think he's not in that conversation, is because you can pick holes in so many fights on his record. Yes, his three losses have come to three legends. Floyd Mayweather, Terence Crawford, and I think in the end, Bivol, at the end of his career when all is said and done, will probably also be a legend. But there's other fights as well out there that you look at and think, did he win that one? A lot of his fights could have gone either way. You look at the first Golovkin fight. Everyone, I think with a sane mind, says Golovkin won that fight. I said on my Crocker Donovan video the other day that that wasn't a robbery. Golovkin-Canelo first fight was a robbery. And the second fight was close to being won as well. You know, Canelo was given the victory. I think you could easily make a case for Golovkin, or at least a draw. I don't think he clearly won the fight. You've also got the Cotto fight, which I think if you watch back with hindsight, you could quite easily make an argument that he didn't win that fight either. Maybe the commentary team, maybe the front foot pressure, you could give the fight to Canelo, but you could easily give the fight to Cotto for the better work. There's the Erislandy Lara fight that I think goes under the radar a lot, that I think was a fight he was lucky he got away with winning that aspect, or in that fight. That's without looking at some of his wins as well, because I think the Caleb Plant fight, that arguably hasn't aged well, the win over him. And I know people say, well, he can only beat what's in front of him, and that is true, and he's beat those guys. I think the Danny Jacobs win is a brilliant win. Danny Jacobs is a guy I rate really highly, pushed Golovkin to the edge, pushed him to the limit. The way he beat him is fantastic. Kovalev, yes, Kovalev was coming off the 8-week camp straight on the back of the Anthony Yard fight, which was a war. He wasn't getting any younger. He'd shown vulnerabilities already. So, you know, there is that. But Canelo dispatched him in quite easy fashion. And I know people will say, well, you can do this with any fighter. You can pick holes in anyone's resume. And listen, every UK guy who he's ever faced, he's beat pretty comprehensively. But, you know, Billy Joe Saunders, take that fight for example. Billy Joe Saunders hasn't fought since. So we don't really know what level that victory can be put at. Amir Khan, blown up welterweight, should have never have even been anywhere near the ring with Canelo. There was all them weird fights as well down at middleweight, where it was 155 catch weight. It wasn't at the full middleweight limit. There was all sorts of weird dealings with that going on. There's a lot for me, and I know people say, well, when you're the A side, you get to do that. That's the benefits you get. But there's a lot for me that goes against Canelo in that all-time great argument. And yes, he's far more successful than I am. I'm talking about him sat here in my bedroom. But as a fan, I'm grateful for what he's done for boxing in the US. He's never avoided anyone. Yes, arguably towards the end of his career, he has avoided David Benavidez, perhaps other fighters as well. But can you blame him when he's been doing this for 20 years? He's probably earned that right to cherry pick fights. But I don't know. Is he even the greatest Mexican of all time? Julio Cesar Chavez, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Salvador Sanchez. Is he greater than those guys? I don't know. And I just think this loss at the weekend could be the tipping point in terms of where in a few years' time we talk about Canelo's legacy and the way we talk about it. In terms of, was he the best of a bad bunch, which is what I'm more leaning towards, or, am I being harsh? Am I being unfair on him? One other point I want to say, talking of Canelo, because we've all looked at Bud and I myself acknowledge his greatness and what a fantastic boxer he is. I think Ade Oladipo mentioned it on his video the other day. I do think the Jake Paul fight is inevitable now, because he's not going to want to go in against the young, hungry Lions and potentially become a punch bag for them, and they want to get his name on his resume. I think he knows he's too good for that. He's too smart for that. Where's he going to make the most money? Jake Paul. Easy, simple. Netflix will lap it up like Ade Oladipo said in his video. Everyone would watch it. He, I think, would quite like to knock Jake Paul out. He's quite likeable, because this is the thing, with his English sort of coming along, I think in the English-speaking world he's become more appealing. But, like I say, I'm struggling with this all-time great case now. And listen, it's all irrelevant, really. What does it actually mean? At the end of the day, he's been brave enough to step in the ring nearly 70 times. So it's all irrelevant. But I just thought it was an interesting point. And in a sporting world where we're now constantly talking about GOATs and where this person ranks in this era, this person ranks in that era, it just made me think, where does Canelo rank now? I don't think the Crawford loss will age particularly well for him. It will show again that he has struggled time and time again with guys who can box and move. That's been a fact. I hesitate to call him one-dimensional because crikey, it'd take my head off. But it's just one of those things. I'm struggling to say he's an all-time great. But let us know what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like. Feel free to comment. Am I completely talking rubbish? Or do I have a point? It's up to you guys. Thank you very much. Please, like I said, like the video and check out the channel. And if you like the content, please subscribe. Anything you guys do is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much and have a great day.